One, two, three, four.
Well, for a while. Oh, take two. Right, yes. All right, this is the Ricksican show, Friday afternoon. Thanks for checking us out. Man, I say this every time I talk about the intro song. That's me on the drums. Brings back some good memories back in Southern California around 2002, jamming out in the garage. Let's talk about local businesses, support your local businesses. Today, show is brought to you by Beery Construction, doing remodels and services in Central Washington. If you got something you need fixed or repaired, look up Beery Construction, Biery, Beery Construction. I'd like to do a shout out to Benny's Tire. A few days ago, one of my workers had a flat tire, picked him up. We drove the tire to the tire shop, and like 15 minutes, it was done. And I was like, that's pretty quick. That's nice. Anyway, 2 days later, my little drive around car, I had a flat tire. Pumped it up, drove it home, flat tire in the morning, pumped it up, drove it down to Benny's Tire, and in 15 minutes, the tire was patched and I was back on the road. And I was like, that's twice that it was like 15-minute turnaround. Like those guys are fast. Other places, I am sitting for 45 minutes, 2 hours waiting for my tire to get changed, and 15 minutes out the door whole time. So history repeats itself. Just wanted to give a shout out to Benny's Tire in Moses Lake, Washington. Thank you for the great service and great prices. I was pretty surprised by the prices too. Okay, today's show we are calling The Big Squeeze. And the past week or so, I've been busy interviewing lots of different businesses and hearing their stories. We got one homelessness to entrepreneur, pretty cool. I mean, the guy was living on a subway roof. I was like, that's pretty cool. We had Myra Pierce on, and
When he said subway roof, I thought he was talking about like a subway car until he specified.
the Subway sandwich restaurant roof.
Yeah.
And I know some of these guys are living on some of the roofs here in Moses Lake. And so, anyway, now you know.
Check your roof.
Just check your roof. But you're out of sight, out of mind. They got the little parapet wall that goes around them. They got a little wind protection. Sometimes you got a heater running. They can hug that and stay warm. I mean, there are, I guess, some benefits for taking a higher position. We had Myra Pierce. She's got a country song out, #3 in the UK. That she wrote 30 years ago, and somehow you never know, like in life, some stuff you do a long time ago, I guess, plays out. And she's got a hit song in the UK. That's pretty crazy. Then we've had some other great people on the show. But anyway, back to the big squeeze. I took a tangent there. This week, we had the school levy vote no twice in a row. Similar vote count, I guess, or percentage, whatever. But and I want to talk about that in a little bit. I'm pretty sure most people love teachers, and I don't think it was an attack on the teachers out there working in the field. I do believe that our system is fragmented. There's a divide. You have government, and the school district kind of falls into government, or the school board. You have business owners, you have the associations out there putting programs together, you have the people and community. And I've noticed that we're not on the same page. And don't get me wrong, I don't think we'll ever be 100% on the same page, but I've noticed like it's fairly divided more than it should be. And I think most people would agree with that. So I wanted to talk about some of the reasons why, the other perspective, because I saw a lot of people that were pro school, like, why don't you support the kids? Don't you love the kids? Like, what is wrong with you people? I kind of felt like that was kind of a message going out. And I was like, let's take a step back and look at the whole economy and where people are at and why they feel what they're feeling. And so maybe you can see that it's a complex reason why people voted the way they voted. So for starters, cost of living, cost of goods. Um, I think most people agree when you go to the grocery store, the $100 you used to pay for a basket of food is now like 200. It feels like things have gone up. And you see on social media, people will post their basket of like the 5, 10, 15 items, and they're like $150. And you're like, ooh, ouch, like uh, your dollar bill isn't as stretched as far as it once was. Call it inflation, call it whatever you want. But I think the reality is cost of goods has gone up.
Last year alone, gas was about $3.70 on average in Washington State. Now it's $4.99.
Yeah.
Just to add to that, getting to the grocery store.
Oh, I'm about to take another tangent. You know how we all blame like Chevron, Texaco, all these guys for making billions of dollars? Those guys make like 10 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
15 cents a gallon. Then you got the little commodity traders, the secret guys we don't want to talk about. How much are they making? And then you got the state tax on that, right? Then you got the little store owner guy. He's making his, 8, 15 cents a gallon. So anyway, it's not everything is what you think it is my point there. But yeah, cost of goods.
50 cents a gallon in Washington State. That's just the state tax.
Yeah. So, and I still got potholes in the roads. Right? The money was meant for one thing.
The governor's looking good, right?
Yeah.
But his roads are fine.
Probably. Yeah, so cost of goods, right? Now let's jump to the previous things that were hit. Most of us, one of the weaknesses in this levy was it jumps in at tax season, right? People are doing their taxes and
They're getting their letter from the assessor's office saying their property taxes went up.
property taxes went up. Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just paid what, $12,000 in property tax for the year, and I'm just like, ouch! Like,
And that's just for your house, right? That doesn't include your business.
that's the business and the house. So like, I was like $12,000.
It's a lot of money.
Man, that's yeah. I'm like, I feel it. I feel it. And so you see, people have mortgages, right? You get that letter. Hey, you need to pay an extra $50, $100 a month.
The thing is as a business owner, you have to make up that $12,000, and then customers' prices go up, and you have to find a way to make it settle well with them. And it's not easy as a business owner.
Oh yeah. We take a lot of, we get a lot of eye rolls, and when you increase prices. And when I bought Rick's, it was $100,000 upside down. And when I saw that they were selling burgers for $9, $10, I was like, oh my gosh, everybody's 15, 18,
You can't get out of McDonald's for like $20 a person.
Yeah, for the full little Happy Meal deal. And yeah, so I saw that and I was like, man, I gotta raise prices. I do not want to end up, they were working for their wages and tips, but there was no money left over for a rainy day. And so I tried to strategically raise prices. We do have a $10 lunch meal here at Rick's. You can get a burger and fries, grilled cheese sandwich, chicken quesadilla, that we have like a $10 lunch. And that was brought on because the economy, that way people that wanted more affordable lunch Yeah. And basically what I did was I just took the profits out of it. So, you know, you got the cost of food, cost to make it. There you go. There's an affordable lunch.
Get them in the door and hoping they're buying drinks and sides with it.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, that works, but it's an affordable lunch. Um, if you need it. And then those that are like, hey, I want the big burger, I want this and that, they can always
Customize.
customize or buy what they want. We've been busy experimenting with our Baja Bowl at Rick's, and I took a tangent again.
What's the Baja Bowl? I want to know
The
this.
Baja Bowl. So it's part of being Ricksican, right? So one of the things that I brought to Moses Lake is that Baja Fresh, some of those flavors.
Yeah.
If you've had my Tomatillo Ranch, it's like a lime cilantro flavor sauce. Call it Rick sauce, call it whatever you want.
Gross.
We'll leave it right there. But so introduced the fish tacos, and that has been like a huge seller here at Rick's for those that like fish tacos. Then last month I was like craving some shrimp, and it's almost the same thing. It's shrimp, cabbage, and the Rick sauce with salsa on it, and it's really good. And people buy it, and then they start coming in every day for it. They're like, "This is so good." But basically, the Baja Bowl is like jasmine rice,
Yeah.
black beans,
I'll take it.
right? We're doing carne asada, it seems like right now, but we could mix up meats between carnitas or that.
Sure.
Trying to keep it simple. You're going to get some lettuce, cilantro, lime, and the tomatillo ranch on top.
I think I just found my new favorite. That's what I'm going to get since I can't get soup anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And it fits into this like plate bowl with a tortilla. And then I'll eat it. So it's like half salad, half burrito. So you eat it, and then if you want to, you can roll it into a burrito and eat it, or you can just eat it how you want.
I think I know what I'm going to DoorDash now.
Yeah. But I've been having it the last couple of days. We're just trying to work out the kinks. You can add avocado or guacamole to it. But it is a smooth, fresh deal. One guy came in and goes, hey, I want to try that thing. I go, well, we're not selling yet, but we got some extra. Let's make you up one. He ate it. He goes, oh my gosh.
Just to tie it into what he's getting at is that trying to find something good and affordable for people to come in and buy down at Rick's.
And this guy was like, you're going to put everybody out of business. This is so good. Like, perfect answer. Perfect answer. And then we had another gentleman eat it. He goes, oh man, I'm going to tell my friends about this. This is really good. So in the next few days, week or so, we will be rolling out the Baja Bowl. Anyway, side tangent, but food is awesome.
Anticipation is definitely killing me.
It's good. I've been posting some pictures, and I'm like, "Ooh, come out for this." But anyway, that's the California boy in me bringing up some of that Baja flavors that we don't have in Moses Lake. So I was like, I'm gonna bring it.
Affordable place to eat some good food.
Yes. All right. Back to we did the hospital bond, right? And then there was also a water bond. If you guys weren't paying attention to that, there's a water bond that came out. And yeah, that increased your property tax as well. So you kind of got a double whammy
And so
there.
they wanted to add a school levy on top of it. I mean, how much are you going to strangle old people?
Yeah. So I guess those funds they're looking for every year anyway. But there's a couple issues with the timing of this. So it wasn't marketed very well. Right? You got a whole new school board in there, and they're taking heat for the past, right? Because there's been some misuse of funds that have happened, right? Let's build a high school, and they're like, you didn't build it, like let's do this. It didn't work out the way you said it would, and so there's a mistrust going on, and so if they had run this levy before the hospital, their chances would be so much better. But you had the hospital, the water thing, right during tax season, when everyone's getting the letters from the county with like, here's your property tax, here's this and that. I was like, oh man, uh, they're not feeling it. They're not liking it at all.
And tax season, you mentioned earlier too.
Yeah, tax season and people's returns, from what I'm hearing, I mean, I don't have access to your bank account,
Yeah.
but from what I'm hearing, it's not as big as previous years.
No.
Because people are like, oh, I get 5,000 back. Why did I only get two? You know, or whatever it is. Like I'm hearing these concerns and comments from the people on the street, and I was like, oh man. So, and this is why I call it the big squeeze. We're all being squeezed from like every direction.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Cost of money. Like I'm a contractor. I do a lot of remodels. What's the interest rate right now? If you refinanced your whole house to get 20,000, you go from a 3-4% to a set. I mean, it's like a second mortgage. If you get a second mortgage or this or that, I mean, cost of money's high.
Yeah.
And people on fixed incomes that are like, I didn't want to fix my bathroom, you know, yeah, it needs it, but I'm on fixed income or whatever. And now you're, you know, there's so many factors there, but cost of money is expensive. So you have, you know, people in the construction industry. If you're not doing new construction, they're definitely feeling a slowdown. We talked about trust, right? People aren't trusting the system, and there's an kind of a boycott attitude going on right now. I don't know if you're following all this, but some of you are familiar with Kellogg's boycott. Kellogg said to you can't afford dinner, you have breakfast, cereal for dinner. You know, people got kind of offended by that. And they said, you know what, Kellogg's, for 90 days, we're not buying any Kellogg's products.
That's stupid.
Pringles, cereal, whatever. And if you've noticed, prices on those products have come down. Their stock has come down. Like they're like, we're going to stick it to you. But there is kind of this attitude where
Fighting the cancel culture.
people are tired.
Yeah.
People are tired of it. And so they're like, who's next? And they're looking for the next guy to boycott for 90 days. They're like, it's going to be Walmart. It's going to be this guy. And so in society, if you're a big guy and you say one wrong thing, it could be twisted and used against you. Like they're looking for it. And with social media, you don't know where it's coming from. So you got to be creative and entertaining, but also not, you know, if you are a big dog, you got to be careful. I mean, Bud Light kind of went through their little problem too. Right? They just kind of took a big hit last year.
Oh yeah. You saw it firsthand on the bar.
Yeah. I mean, you had your people that'll drink it no matter what, but you had people that totally stopped, you know, and Budweiser, we took off tap for the first time ever. Budweiser came off the tap, you know, like it was like no one's buying it. So very, very interesting times that we live in.
Yeah.
We talked about timing, we talked about marketing, but a lot of factors. So let's talk about, I guess, our local economy, business, right? We sat down before the show and I was like, man, there's like 4 businesses that closed down. And we were like, whoa. There's 8.
That we know of.
There's 8 that we know of that have closed down this year.
Major.
In Moses Lake. We've got car dealerships. We've got
major plants.
Major plant that's probably leaving us soon. We've got some people that sold, you know, some clothing and, you know, products and services.
Bunch of retailers, yeah.
Some retailers are going out. Anyway, so it's interesting. And businesses come and go, don't get me wrong. But what's fascinating to me is the amount in a short period of time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, so-and-so's not there, you know. It's a bunch of them. And I personally know of another one that is leaving us soon, but it's not my place to say. So cross your fingers, hold on.
Yeah.
And we're all the businesses are feeling it too. So like I'm in the restaurant business and restaurant lounge, right? I got people coming and going all the time, and they'll be like, "Oh, I just left so and such's place. There's nobody in there. I left this place. There's nobody there. Every place is dead. There's 5 people there. There was 10 people." Like, I was like, "That's fascinating because how are they surviving?
Yeah.
Like, so at Rick's, it takes a good $26,000 to break even. Food, payroll, utilities, whatever. So you have to have people in there doing something just to break even.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that. And like right now, the numbers are low, so uh, everybody's feeling it. That is my point. You don't always realize the squeeze that's going on. And I have two businesses, and it's interesting. Like I have to tighten my belt. I have to downsize. One thing that I do that I'm pretty good at is I don't like spend money on myself.
Yeah.
Like I I tuck it away, I tuck it away, I tuck it away. Or I put it back in the business. Like I'm not out there, I'm like, ooh, a new car. Like must have. Like I'm like, I will deal with my little turd.
Lots of band-aids.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And my truck could use a tune-up and a fix and this and that. And I'm like, I got to deal with this. And don't get me wrong, I've taken it to the dealer when I had a warranty. They couldn't fix it 3 or 4 times. I've taken it here, and people, oh, it's a sensor, it's this and that, and it's still like has its issues. And I'm like, no one can fix this thing.
Mhm.
I like, so I'm like, what do I do? Do I roll it off and go get something else? Or do I just deal with it? It functions, but it has its problems, right? And like, anyway, so we're all dealing with stuff, you know, and that's where I'm at. But yeah, I've had to tighten my belt, and I worry about my guys. So I got enough work to pay the guys. The guys need to work, they need to get paid, and yeah, I have to make tough decisions too. I have to downsize, tighten my belt. Sometimes government, it's harder for them to, bigger corporations, it's harder for them to downsize um, than probably a small business, but it can be done. So one thing that I noted, um, and I commented on a few posts about the school levy. The school board needs to rebrand, and it's going to take some time to build that confidence and trust and rechange the attitude and mindset of the people. It can be done. People rebrand all the time.
Were you living here when they did the levy for the school and then they didn't build it?
I've been here, what, 8 years?
And the community was so mad. They were going to build it over by the fairgrounds.
Uh-huh.
And then there was going to be out in Stratford. And we just kept hearing all this talk. And all of a sudden, hey, we have this land by the other high school. It's built right next to our other high school.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, what the? This is not what we talked about.
How do you have a rivalry football game at the same place? Yeah. Anyway, uh, it's it's crazy to me to see how this goes. So I recommend a rebranding campaign of some kind, and I think it would be impressive. You have at the school district, you all have college educations there. Am I right?
Hopefully.
I mean, you can't even be a teacher without a degree, right? I don't think you have to get a
You
degree.
can, but it's a process.
Yeah, you need a master's, you need a bunch of stuff to be a teacher, right? You got a bunch of educated people there, and it would be impressive to figure it out, make some tough cuts, and be like, hey, because what you're asking for is 10% of the budget, right? What they're asking for is my understanding, about 10% of the budget. Make some cuts, take a look, see what's going on, and see if you can make it work. Another point I want to point out is kids are tougher than you think they are. I just want to point out that all 4 years of high school, I lived in a garage with a gas dryer and water heater and washer machine, but it's not gas. So I'm like exposed to carbon monoxide. Right? And these are 2x4 walls. There were no drywall on them, no nothing. And some mornings it got cold. Cold concrete on your bare feet, running around, had an electric blanket to stay warm. It's like I survived, you know, basically grew up in a barn. Pretty close. When the neighbors were getting rid of old carpet, man, we were out there. We grabbed that carpet, we pulled it in the garage. Wanted to get rid of a couch, we brought the couch in. Like we did the best we could with what we had. But that's just what I had to deal with. Like I don't see it as a bad thing. You could say, "Oh, Rick was poverty," but I was like, "That's just what it was."
One thing it does, though, it goes back to what people have been screaming for years is the homeless situation. Rather than just throwing money at it, helping with the mental health, helping to re-educate, getting them back into the workforce to help produce for money to go out. All that is just money sucking us dry.
There's anyway, we are tougher than you think we are. The kids are tougher than you think they are, and life experience is invaluable.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned before in the last podcast, from homelessness to entrepreneur, right? It was interesting to see the process he went through from nothing to something, and we all have that ability to move forward and work hard. And I have my deficits. Like I'm creative, I work hard, I'm good at some things, but heaven forbid you put me in a spelling bee. Heaven forbid. I have people messaging me, correcting my posts all day long. They're like, Rick. I'm like, I'm sorry.
I'm one of them.
Yeah. And thank you for that. Like, that is not my strong suit at all. And so, my next point is the keys for success in life is you need to be able to work with people.
Yeah.
You need to be able to work with people, have an understanding, compassion, uh, you know, have self control, not get mad when they say things you don't like. You got to be able to do that. And you need to be able to network and leverage people's gifts and talents. As a business owner, I am thrilled when I find someone that cooks better than me.
Yeah.
I am thrilled when a guy can like do trades on the job site that I was like, dude, I've been doing this forever. I didn't know that trick existed. Like I'm thrilled to see it. I'm thrilled to keep learning. I'm happy when they know more than I do.
I was raised on the concept of always be training the replacement so you can grow.
Yeah. Another item I want to address is the math I use is 2 plus 2. I've never used trigonometry. I use geometry
Yeah.
and I use 2 plus 2 and whatever. Basic math is my point. I have 2 businesses. I don't have to know complex things.
One of them started out 100 grand in the hole.
Yeah. But the basic math, right? You have your math, you do this. I mean, I don't know. When I do my charge people tax, I'm like, it's $10 times 1.084. There's your new price. Like I don't have to be like, oh my gosh, you'll see me counting on my fingers, like, and you can be very successful with that. I'm super jealous of those guys that are like just doing math in their brain. Carry the one, hold it. Oh my God, I can't do that. By the time
your brain starts.
By the time I carry the one, I'm back down. I forgot the number I carried. Like too much gets deleted too fast. But many of the skills and things you're putting a lot of effort in isn't as important as you think it is. Another cool thing I was privileged to, is just being exposed to life in its variety. Right? Did the Boy Scouts, right? We went camping. We had some leader that somehow fumbled upon this thing, and we got to do sailing, and I ended up loving that. And I had been in some crazy storms, and like I've been electrocuted. We pulled into the dock once, and the Belge was filling up with salt water, and it was at the top of the Belge when we got in. That's pretty much the boards you walk on. You open that up. The bottom compartment was full of salt water.
Scary.
They plugged in the shoreline and the extension cords, like a 30 amp deal. fell in the water as I was scooping out salt water, and I locked up. You know, at the same time, somebody whipped it out of the water, and I was like, oh, but I was like, it was crazy. Like,
You've been shot at?
yeah, I've had guns held at me. That's another story though. So like, I did foreclosures in Las Vegas and California.
Did
Las
you take a
Vegas.
dog along with you too?
I did take a dog with me, depending on the area.
Yeah.
So mostly I took the dog with me when I was in California. Anyone been to Stockton, California?
Oh man.
Rough,
Yeah. Real rough.
rough. You think homelessness is a problem here in Moses? You have no idea.
Yeah.
I'd be going into houses and there's 5, 10 guys there, like, and they don't want you there.
No.
So I had this female Rottweiler.
Oh.
She didn't care about people, but it sure got their attention. And she was looking for other cats and dogs to be like, I am alpha. About to be. But if I ever questioned it, as soon as I opened the door, and don't get me wrong, I have secured over like 5,000 houses. Like I was doing like 20 houses a day, changing locks, locking them up for the banks during that foreclosure boom. And if I ever questioned it, I'd open the door and,
In with the dog.
Diesel, get in there, And she would, if I heard screaming, then I knew someone was in the house. But I've gone in after constables and police and whatever, and I mean, been in the houses where they were drunk, doing drugs, and like, whatever. Anyway, I got to break in these houses without breaking anything, so I'm picking locks. Open the door, and yeah, one guy was like had some dog and a Rambo knife right at the door waiting for me. I'm like, whoa, 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 like I'm here with the bank,
We're here to help.
and that didn't bother me too much. I could usually handle myself okay, like I'm a nice guy. I can usually diffuse most situations. Another door unlocked. Guy's got his gun pointed at me. He's like, "What are you doing?" I go, "Hey, I'm here with the bank." And it's not like I don't call out. I'm like, "Hey, mortgage company." We knock on the door. We make noise, and then I'm sure they start. I check the property, see what the utilities are doing, and then they probably hear the door jiggle, And if I can't pick it in like 5 minutes, then I'm drilling it out, But usually, sometimes I can pick it as fast as the movie. Sometimes I can't do it. And I was showing this kid, like, hey, this is how you pick a lock. And like, I just put it in there and the lock broke, like it lined up and turned for me. And I was, oh my gosh, like the perfect scenario movie thing, open the door. Oh my gosh. But
So what you were getting at is you were in many environments, and that has helped you, right?
well, just part of life experience,
Yeah.
And dealing with upset people never bothered me. One in North Las Vegas, I had secured a property. I went back to move some hazards there, and when I got to the front door, the door was unlocked. Went inside, and as I was making my way to the garage, the peripheral on my left side, I saw something. And I stopped. I backed up to the door. And I looked, and I said, "Man, something's weird in there." And so I walk in, and I see a dude hanging in the closet.
Oh man.
He's like on his knees, a belt around his neck, a young black guy. And I go to the back of the room and I'm staring at him for a couple minutes. And I can't tell if he's faking it or I'm like, what is going on here? He's just there quiet. And then I look down and I see a dried up urine stain on his pants. I'm like, okay, this guy's dead. And so I'm like, all right, what do I do? So I walk up to the guy and I'm like 1 inch from touching him. And I'm like, I can't do it. I am not touching the dead guy.
So you saw dead people.
I see dead people. And anyway, that incident, I mean, yeah, I had to call the police and give my testimony like 5 times. And anyway, I wasn't allowed back in the property. And anyway, like, that incident haunted me for several weeks. So at night, when I would go to bed, up in the peripheral of my mind, I'd turn off all the lights.
The guy hanging in the closet.
And I'd see him. I'd see this guy. And I was like, I need to start carrying.
Yeah.
I was like, the guy with the gun and the knife, the real threat didn't scare me.
Yeah, it didn't haunt you either.
The dead guy who could do nothing to me, that's what freaked me out. That's what was like, all right. And I started packing heat with me as I started clearing these houses. But that was it. It makes no sense logically, but emotionally, I was like, that's what, yeah, got me over the bridge on that. I was like, so I had my man purse with me, and yeah, had my piece, and then sometimes I had a dog, whatever, and kept securing houses. But yeah, the dead guy is what got me. Anyway, going into the military, that gave me some foundation, I think, for seeing some of the terrible things that happened. Because I'm like, okay, I've already had, you know, some experience with that. So, but anyway, I was exposed to a variety of things. Working young as a kid. I mean, every Saturday morning, my dad would open that garage door and he would say, "Rise and radiate." So annoying, but we had to work. It's like, get up. I mean, if you weren't playing sports, you had some chores to do.
Oh yeah.
And it was anything. He'd be like, "Oh, so and so's moving. Get up," And we're like, "Dad, shut the door. We're in our underwear." Didn't matter. He'd open that garage door because remember I was living in a garage, and I think my dad got a laugh out of it.
And you got some work ethic. Yeah.
These kids have tortured me enough. I'm going to open up their bedroom door to the world and just open that garage door. And it wasn't the roller kind. It was the old kind with the springs. You had to lift open. But that's like the world I lived in. But anyway, I thought it was a good childhood. I mean, that's just the way I chose to see it. I don't think once. I might joke around like I'm a huge victim, but I'm not. I've crossed the border illegally into the United States. Uh,
I have his address if you want to arrest him. What's the statute of limitations on that?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm an American citizen.
I feel some blackmail coming along.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like I have, done a few things in life. And that experience is valuable wherever it is.
Yeah.
I wasn't raised around sand dunes where people were riding motorcycles and these razor things and doing that. So I was like, well, that's a world I'm not used to.
Some of the most educational parts of my life is I rode the freight trains around the country.
Oh yeah.
And I lived on the streets in Portland.
Sweet.
And I learned how to get by with very little. And so many people they think stuff, and that's why what you were talking about. You don't live an extravagant lifestyle. Or most people nowadays, they have to have the brand new truck and the brand new iPhone, and they're struggling because their bills are going up, and yet they're still spending.
Yeah, yeah. If I had it my way, I'd downsize.
Saying a cabin in the mountains with nobody there, no internet, I'd be happy.
Yeah. I've also traveled quite a bit. I've spent over 3 years overseas. Costa Rica, China, Philippines, Central America. Granted, Mexico.
And then you snuck home.
Yeah. I was like, "Mom, I'm coming home."
Pick me up here.
Yeah. As soon as I walked through the front door, my mom deported me again. I put you in the garage for a reason. But that was just the thing. And even when we came home from college, it's like, where are we going to stay? We're like, oh, there's some beds in the garage. Yeah.
Home sweet home.
Yeah. Anyway, it became like a normal thing. And my friends' parents would be like, you need to behave or you could live in the garage like Rick.
Mom, if you're listening, remember I slept in the garage too. Thank you. I had sheets for walls.
Yeah.
And blankets.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was just, I don't know. It's just the life we lived
She
in.
divided it. There were 4 of us kids. She divided it into 4, and you could hear what they were doing in the other. If they were listening to music, you couldn't listen to your music.
Oh, yeah. Oh. But, I don't know. I thought it was a beautiful life. You know,
Oh, yeah.
sailing. We used to sail to the Channel Islands with the little Sea Scout program. Loved it.
Where are the Channel Islands?
So I grew up in Orange County.
Okay.
So across the ocean there, like 26 miles away, is Catalina Island.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Then you have like Santa Barbara, Santa Rosa, and then we would work our way up to Santa Cruz Island.
Yeah. Santa Cruz and Santa Barbara, gorgeous.
And so Santa Cruz Island, there's no one that lives on it. And there's some sheep, and you got to get permission to go on the island.
Oh wow.
Anyway, I did spinnaker flying there. If you've never done that, that is a trip. It's, the big colorful sail on the front of the boat. They would make a little, you'd sit on the rope and you'd push it open, and the boat would get anchored. And on a good windy day, it would lift you up to the top.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
You would bounce around.
Yeah.
And it would send you up 20, 30, 40 feet in the air if you had a bigger boat. Yeah. You don't quite realize it like an elevator. You're like, oh, I feel it. And then you look down, you're like, whoa. And then you're like, how do I get down? You're up 30, 40 feet in the air. And it's like, I either got to like wait for the wind to die or I got to jump.
Dang.
And these guys would jump and people belly flop and we'd laugh and have a good time. I did a bit of surfing as a kid. I even swam with some huge sharks that I didn't anticipate. There was 2 mega 20s and like a 18 foot tiger. And anyway, they closed the beach down the next day, but I remember paddling out in this huge, like 3-foot dorsal fin goes.
Was that Long Beach or what was that?
So this is by San Onofre power plant.
Okay.
So you're talking like North San Diego, South Orange County, and San Onofre, and then just south of that's a surf spot called Trail One.
Yeah.
North of that is called Trestles. Anyone who surfs, and then I think above that there's a spot called Churches, which is on the Marine base. Yeah. And we used to try to sneak on the Marine base to surf at Churches, and we'd be like, "We're here to see Sergeant Brown," and sometimes whoever was at the gate would be like, "Get out of here." Sometimes they would let us through. We'd drive down and surf at Churches. Depends how cool they were at the gate.
Yeah.
It's probably a lot
different times.
a lot stricter now.
We lived off of La Cienega and Olympic, kind of near Beverly Hills.
Oh yeah.
We would frequent Long Beach, and
Long Beach.
I was 15. My mom let us take the bus down there. Today you wouldn't do that, but we came home one day and my mom was like, "There were sharks over in Long Beach today."
Yeah.
I go, "Oh," and then the camera zoomed in. It was me and my 2 brothers swimming, and the sharks were underneath us. So I didn't know they were there until I saw it on the news.
Oh, they're everywhere. Yeah. We had one local shark at Trail One we called Fluffy, and it's like a 6-foot tiger shark.
Oh man.
Hey Fluffy.
Yep.
When I saw that dorsal fin, that 3-footer, I was like,
well, you saw it come up to the water, to the surface?
It was like Fluffy grew up. Oh yeah. I was paddling out. There was like 5 of us. And I paddled out in the first wave. There were 3 of us. And there's this guy from Holland. He turned his board around and he sold a surfboard and never surfed again. So if you're from Holland, you're weak.
Scared straight.
I expect more out of you.
My brothers were the surfers. I could never stand up, so I boogie board.
Yeah. I mean, you do what you can. I mean, but we had bonfires, and there was this one somewhere in Laguna Beach, and I think it had to be like high tide. Anyway, you had this cliff, and you would time the wave. So as it was coming in, there'd be rocks below you, and you would jump over the rocks, and then the wave would catch you and take you to shore, and then you climb up and do it again. But if you didn't time it right, you would land in the rocks, or if you jumped in late, the wave would suck you back out.
Yeah.
And like
that could be bad.
Yeah. I mean, anyway, they got these coves and stuff, and we did some scuba diving, and we swam, and anyway, it was a cool life, lots of experience, and so from that, I see the world, I think, a little differently. Yeah. I've been to China, and I was like, I don't see very much communism here. Like, I can do everything, but take a picture of the Buddha. Take a picture of the Buddha,
Go bye-bye.
they get mad at you.
Yes.
They'll take your camera. If you leave Buddha alone, or whatever it is, uh, they let you be.
Yeah.
So you do have quite a bit of freedom. To buy land there, you get what, like 100-year lease, and you can renew it. I think other countries do that. Anyway, it's just I don't know. I've been on, like, we went to some rice terrace in China, and we were like the first foreigners to be there,
Oh wow.
and it was really cool. And they were using all these hand tools to build these houses and stuff, and it was really cool.
No power tools at all.
No, no.
Wow.
It was a place that didn't have power.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We had to cross this like cable bridge, and then these I felt like you're in the Indies. These little Chinese women wanted to take all your stuff and run up the mountain, so you would tip them.
Oh wow.
Take the luggage up.
How much did you get back?
Yeah. And they don't steal in China, really. Like, you can put $100 bill around your neck, and everyone would like walk away around you. Go, this guy's nuts. But because the punishment is harsh,
Yeah.
like you steal, off with your hand, like
Oh yeah.
it's a tough penalty. So like it's just not really a concern.
Yeah.
And if you were teasing them to steal something, they just laugh. You're funny,
I like my hand.
I've been on the Great Wall, and I was like, there was the five of us. We were the only ones on it, and it's super rare. It was during the Chinese New Year, so everyone's at home with their family. So we were on the wall, no one on it. So we ran up and down it, and it would be like, no trespassing, don't continue. We kept going and kept going,
Oh.
and you get past it a little ways over the hump, and it's all rubble, like it's all rubble, yeah. And I was like, huh, they rebuilt this whole damn thing. Like, all of it's been rebuilt for tourism and their pride, whatever. But once you get past certain markers, it's just a pile of dirt.
They don't want you to see the pile of dirt.
They don't want you to see the pile of dirt. And
that's not very attractive to tourists, huh?
Yeah. So keep that in mind. Much of history is not exactly what you think it is. Like, you can see it from the moon. Well, maybe not.
Yeah, just 4 miles of it. That's it.
But whatever. It stops and goes in different parts. So I mean, but it's just interesting to see the world.
So you're saying all this is giving you a different perspective?
Oh, absolutely.
In business.
Absolutely. Like, in the United States, we can pride ourselves for being like the greatest country in the world. You don't like it, go somewhere else. And I'm like, well, I've been somewhere else.
And they think they're the greatest country.
No,
Oh.
They don't. They're humble. I've been in places where they had nothing, but they were happier. And I was like, they give you the shirt off their back. And I was like, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
The guy has nothing, and he's like, oh, here, take my shirt. And I'm like, dude, I don't need your shirt. But it's just a different perspective.
Yeah, like when I rode the freight trains, we got on in Ogden, the IRS capital, and we got money from homeless people, bus money to get to the train yard. And I saw in that life that the people without were way more generous than the people with.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, I've been robbed in third world countries. I've been. It's just different, and there's beauty to all places. And so, like, I don't think anyone's less fortunate for living in another place, because there's pros and cons to all sides.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're taxed as heavy as we are. Like, come to the United States. And if you notice, if you talk to me, I will refer to us as the United States. I rarely will say America. Because guess what? Mexico is America. Canada is America.
North America, yeah. Central America.
Costa Rica is America.
South America.
And so, uh, and I kind of learned that in Costa Rica. I was explaining something prideful about our country. We don't got potholes like you do, blah, 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 blah. And she was like, listen, kid, I'm an American too. And I was like, whoa.
Wow.
I got called out. And that was a life lesson for me in my pride and ignorance. And a lot of it's our education system. Like, do you, when you think of Mexico, you don't think American.
Yeah.
North America, baby.
They spoon feed you American pride, but
Yeah.
not the rest
Yeah. So if I was Mexican, I would come across the border, I'd be like, I'm an American.
Did you do that when you snuck across the border?
That's how I got in. I said, I'm American. I'm American. They said, oh, come on in. But that's what I would say. I was coming across and be like, I'm an American. They'd be like, oh, it just uses ignorance against you, But that's just I even noticed as a little kid in my ignorance, we had this blonde kid who spoke Spanish. And I go, man, I've never seen a blonde Mexican. The kid was from Argentina.
Wasn't Mexican.
In elementary school, yeah, he wasn't Mexican at all. But like in my ignorance, like he speaks Spanish.
You're Mexican.
Mexican. So I've had to go through an educational process, as a young man and as even now, because I don't know everything. And just because I've seen some things doesn't mean I'm right, doesn't mean I'm wrong. It's just what is. And my life is just what is. And sometimes you have to have someone poke and pry at you to show some of your false beliefs.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's a beautiful thing, sometimes it's a hard thing to be like, whoa, I'm ignorant in many ways. But it's just people. We're dealing with people, and people have a variety of emotions and logic, and sometimes emotions and logic don't mix. You have these breakdowns. But no, it's been I think I've had a full life, and I think that's beautiful.
How would you take all of what you just said and tie it into, where it's got you in business, and what would you recommend other folks just from your life experience on how to approach that?
Going into business, I think I was fortunate. When I was 14 years old, I started my roofing career. I do believe in child labor.
Yes. So did your dad, apparently.
So did my dad. And let me back up and just say this little tangent. To become a master in some trades, you have to learn it at a young age. So when you're 5 years old, 8 years old, if you're exposed to certain trades, like Japanese woodworking, to be exposed to those trades and have it click for you and to become a master, you have to be exposed to it at a very young age. So I do believe in like child labor, child education, get your hands dirty at a young age. I believe it helps unlock a code in your brain. So like when I was learning Spanish, like I'm not a natural at it. It was hard for me to memorize things and that. I had friends that were just like picking it up and cruising with it. But when I was learning Spanish in Costa Rica, after your 6 months, your year, you start dreaming in it, and there's like a code that unlocks in your brain being bilingual, and then they're like from there you can learn your third language even easier, your fourth language, your fifth. Like a code unlocks, and the structure of grammar and different things are more interchangeable, more fluid because you've broken this secret code in your brain. Anyway, exposing kids to certain skill sets really young, I think helps do that. And it could become more natural for them to be experts. Yeah, they can go off to college and choose, I will never help dad in the factory again. That's totally cool with me. But if they decide to come back, they grew up with a trade. So I'm totally for it. Um, I don't force anybody to do hard labor with me, like even my own kids. I encourage them, like, hey. And one thing I do at Rick's that I think is kind of cool is we collect the cans. I try to separate all the aluminum cans when I can. And uh, some Saturdays, I'm like, hey, let's go to the recycle yard and recycle some cans. And they make their 40, $50, you know. And it's not like a technical thing, but it is shows them a little bit of the hustle and opens a small door to them. There is a place like a junkyard that will pay you to bring them junk. So no matter what happens in life, if you need $50, you can save up cans and make $50.
I remember when I was down and out after my divorce, and I was trying to find work, but I was in sales at the time, and doing the custody battle was really tough to sell because my head wasn't there. My buddy said, "You have a pressure washer, don't you?" Next thing you know, I was washing every commercial building in this town.
Yeah,
And some of the business owners that might be listening to this will remember when I was at their gas station for very cheap, trying to keep my lights on. You know, there's always something you can do to make money.
excellent, excellent. Anyway, getting back, why do I choose business? And I've done both sides, right? At 14, I started roofing. Uh, summers in high school summers. I was roofing in school. I remember before school started, one of my roofing contractors showed up on my doorstep at 5:30 in the morning. He's like, "Load up, I need you. It's raining and I got a roof leaking." You know, I'm like, dude, I'm like 16 before school. I'm running out to tarp a roof, get up on a wet roof, fun. But like, um, you know, but I was a good worker, so like, why would he not stop and pick me up if he was in a pinch? You know. Anyway, but I did notice, you know, and there were two roofers that I worked for, and it was fun for them to joke around like, I hired him first, I need him. You know, it was cool. It was cool to hear that because that they appreciated my hard work, and for a young man to hear that was cool. The other thing I noticed was having their own business, they were doing better than the people that had a job.
Yeah.
Um, and that was kind of interesting to me. They're like they'd be up on a roof working, and anyway, the owner of the house, the lady would come out. She'd be telling her kid like, if you don't get an education, you'll be up on a roof like those guys. And my boss heard that, and he's mumbling under his breath. He goes, I bet I make more money than your daddy does. You know, and there might have been some truth to that, but like it was kind of interesting, you know, because some people think of the trades as like a non-profitable deal.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I saw that as a young age that these guys, well, I was making my $10 an hour, and these guys were making $100 an hour, $200 an hour, $300 an hour. One guy's like, my goal is 1,000 a day. My goal is 3,000 a day. And so I saw that at a young age, and I was like, huh. My mom had a daycare at home. Part of the reason I had to live in a garage, right? You know, I came home from school and she's like, don't go in your room. There might be a baby sleeping. And that was like, you know, I'm going to the garage. And she's like, fine by me. Bye, Felicia. You know, so, and then turns out she didn't need that room for a baby to sleep. And then my mom rented the room out to a stranger. And then I come home from dinner and she's like, oh, we're having dinner with so-and-so. It's our new roommate. What the what is going on? Sister would go to college, boom, that room's rented. I could have come back in the house if I tried. But we always had food on the table. My mom always had 12 kids with a helper, like that she watched. She could basically be at home for us, but also, you know, I don't know what she made, about 60,000 a year doing daycare.
It's good back then.
You know, because she could have 12 kids, she had a helper, and that helper got a room to rent. again, I couldn't move back in the house if I tried. Uh, but like I saw my mom hustle. Um, I, I saw these people around me hustle, and those that hustle, seem to be doing okay, be doing all right. And so as kids went to college, you know, my mom was always able to help out somehow uh, to get us through some of that. And so I kind of grew up seeing this kind of hustle, entrepreneurial spirit. So I knew I was always curious to that. Anyway, uh, I had I was partner in a business that crashed and burned at 9/11. And that really hurt. I owed several $1 million, and the investors were gone like cockroaches. So that was a difficult time. And I was like, I need to start over. What am I going to do? So I put my tail between my legs. I moved back in with my parents. I was like, great, I'm a boomeranger. Like, this totally sucks. Like, I didn't know I had like $100 left in my pocket, and you know, uh, had a properties foreclosing. I couldn't pay rent, couldn't pay employees. It was just a mess. So I moved back to California and started over. And I started doing handyman stuff, and then I started roofing again. So I went back to my foundation and started roofing again. And then I ended up having a roofing company, and that went well for 5, 6 years, whatever. And then it slowed down. And I was like, oh man, where's the business coming from? And that's when I jumped into foreclosures, and that rocked for a while. And then I jumped in the military.
So let's take it all home and come back to the economy. Kind of closing notes, would you say, to really what's the next thing we need to do as a people locally, even nationally? How do we do our part in order to move in another direction, in a better direction?
I'm not even sure I'm qualified to answer this.
Probably not, but you have enough life experience to qualify you.
Uh, I wish we could get back to basics.
2+2.
2+2 is 4. Get back to basics. For my position, I feel like I'm overregulated. I'm overtaxed. I feel like I'm squeezed as a businessman and as a consumer. I'm like, we're being squeezed. And then things are dipping and possibly going to dip hard. Um, and the government doesn't know how to let go of that squeeze. They're like, yeah, we should reduce taxes because we're hurting too. We've got people and staff that we have to pay too. We have budgets that we need to. So they're probably feeling it as well. Like, what do they do when they can't meet their budgets? And there's, I have, but I think people need to be able to see and tighten their belt where they need to. And as a community, I think we can come together and in small ways help lift each other. Someone posted, one of the pro levy people posted, all you people that voted no, you need to come volunteer then. And I was like, I have offered to volunteer to come to the schools and speak to them, what it's like to have different businesses and what I see, to talk to them, and talk about some of this stuff. The most important skills you need to learn, are the 2+2, and working with people. But we live in such a complex society, right? Capitalism, socialism, corporatism, governmentism, whatever you want to call it. There's all these factors. One gets the blame. The past guy gets the blame. Like, it's complex. We live in this weird hybrid.
But nothing gets fixed.
And that's government and stuff. Like, nothing ever truly gets fixed. It's like, and so we live in this complex system. But I don't know, live wisely. I would recommend, but
Within your means.
yes, but like, you got a lot of people living paycheck to paycheck. What more can they possibly cut? Like, what they want the schools to feed the open up lunches to the kids, no questions asked. So like that they can go there for fun, they can go there for whatever reason. And so some people are like, who's paying for that?
Yeah, we are.
Is it right or wrong? And I sit there and go, man, should Rick's open its doors and feed the kids? Do I
Might
do
be
that?
cheaper, right?
It might be. It might be. Do I open my doors and feed the kids? Like uh, on Veterans Day, and I'd like to say this as strongly as I can. Um, when it comes towards Veterans Day, I purposely promote it early and offer a free meal in hopes that other businesses in town would step up and do something similar. And I was like, wow, I think the best they had in town was like half off of an appetizer or something. I was like,
Denny's used to do something pretty good back in the day.
I don't know, but I was like, I'll offer a free meal to veterans on Veterans Day. And when I first did it, my first year, I was terrified. I go, what if like 1,000 people show up? How am I going to pay for that? But you get your 10 people. Last year it was like 26, and I was like, you know what? What's a couple $100? I can do that as a business owner and as a veteran myself. To honor those. But if you pay attention, sometimes I'll promote things in hopes that others will help rise to the occasion as well.
And help carry the weight too.
Help carry the weight. But there are little things that you can do, and as a community we can come together. And that's one of the reasons I started this podcast, was like, together we can rise. Let's promote these businesses. I mean, we talked about Benny's Tire today. Got great service there. I saw it like this week twice, and I was like, how cool is that? I've never been there before. And I thought that was cool. So I don't necessarily know how to solve the economic problems, but we can be wise and we can rise together.
Let me remind everybody too to like, subscribe, and share. It's you supporters like you that help make this possible and spread the word out. I know we're a little long today. A lot of great things that you want.
Very good. This is the Ricksican Show. I'm your host, Rick. We are signing out. Thank you for listening. If you could handle everything, but I just wanted to get it off my chest and share that we're all feeling the big squeeze.